Hi everyone, my name's Jacob Hale and I'll be your instructor for Comp 2, English 2367. What I'm going to do is every week make a video that gives you an overview of what we're doing in class for that week. These videos are not mandatory by any means. All the information that you need to be successful in the class is already available to you on Blackboard. But I know that a lot of people benefit from being able to hear and see someone explain things to them and walk them through assignments and things like that. So if you know that you are a more audio visual learner, these videos should be a help to you. Now in this video, I'm not going to go over some of the introductory things in the class. This video sort of assumes that you've already done all of the things that I have discussed in my announcement that I sent out on Thursday, titled Welcome to Comp 2. In that announcement, you'll see that I ask you to look through the orientation start here link, as well as the course information link. And then from there, you will be set to go on to our classroom. So I'm going to be jumping to our classroom right now and walking you through what we're doing in week 1. I'm going to scroll down here. You'll see some useful information. This explains what our classroom is. You'll find the course calendar here. Here is essentially another course calendar, which gives you the reading and assignment list that we'll be using. Here is some resources to help you with MLA style. Here is information for the library, which will be helpful to you when conducting research. And beneath all of that, we have our weekly folders. Inside these folders, you'll find the instructions for what you'll need to do each week. So week 1 is January 17th through January 23rd. This is going to focus on close reading, introductions, brainstorming, and we're going to get started working on writing project 1 this week. At the top of each of these weekly folders, I have a little mini lecture where I just sort of give you some advice and some explanations about what we're doing in class. As you begin work on writing project 1, you'll need to focus on closely reading and examining a work. You also need to introduce yourself to the class and respond to the introductions of at least 2 of your peers. Lastly, you need to begin brainstorming ideas for writing project 1. Please be sure to read the writing project 1 assignment sheet carefully. You can find a copy of that below and via the writing projects and rubrics link on the main menu of our course, which is over here. So here's the menu, and you'll find all the information for the writing projects under this link. This first week is largely for you to get started with your work and get acclimated with our Blackboard setup. Spend some time navigating around, clicking through links, and getting comfortable with our setup. Feel free to email me if you have any questions along the way. You also should be spending a good amount of time on your own brainstorming for writing Project 1 and reading the textbook. For brainstorming purposes, look through the textbook, read the prompt, and discuss it with people in your life and on the discussion board. You should have a pretty good idea of what you want to write about by the end of this week. You need to allot between half an hour and an hour to complete the textbook readings. If you complete the work for week 1, you should feel fairly prepared to get into the writing process. And don't forget to submit your weekly writing and discussion board entries for this week. Up first, task 1, we have reading a selection from the Norton Field Guide. This week, I'd like you to read Chapter 1, Writing in Academic Contexts, Chapter 2, Reading in Academic Contexts, Chapter 3, Summarizing and Responding, and Chapter 4, Developing Academic Habits of Mind. Task 2 is optional. It is to complete the Blackboard orientation. If you, for whatever reason, have never used Blackboard before, I'm guessing that if you're taking Comp 2, there's a good chance that you have taken other classes at Columbus State that have made use of Blackboard. But in case you haven't, I would strongly recommend you taking that Blackboard orientation. That will help you feel a lot more comfortable navigating our class. Task 3 is browsing the course site. Make sure to read the entire syllabus and all other material under course information. Read the material under the orientation button. Now, I've already asked you to do this, so there's a good chance you've already done these things. So if you have, you can essentially skip over this portion. This is here essentially as a reminder in case you haven't already looked through those portions of the Blackboard site, that you should do that before you get started on any work. Task 5, this is a video that introduces Writing Project 1. I believe Professor Bruce made this video, and he gives an overview of what you can expect from Writing Project 1. Task 6 is reviewing the Writing Project 1 assignment sheet, which you can find here. Before you begin brainstorming ideas for the first project, take some time and read over the entirety of the assignment prompt. You should take some notes about what you are required to do for this essay. After that, you can move on to task 7, selecting and reading an essay from the reading bank. Here we have the Columbus State Composition Reading Bank. And you'll see there are a bunch of tabs here that organize the readings based on topic. For our first project, you are selecting a social issue and finding an article or an essay that addresses that social issue and then responding to it. So things like politics, identity, race and ethnicity, really any one of these tabs will have good readings for you to select for our first project. I'll just go ahead and click Society and Culture for now, and you'll see a long list of various texts, including a link to the text as well as a brief summary of what the text addresses. For task 8, you're going to complete a close reading of your selected essay. So in task 7, you're picking out an essay that you want to read. Really, you should probably pick out 2 or 3 essays and read them. That way you aren't painting yourself into a corner. It'll give you some different options to work with. Task 8, once you've found an essay or multiple essays for our first project, you're going to do what is called a close reading. And to get started with this, open a Word doc and type out responses to the following prompts. Make sure to number each response. First of all, what is the author's main idea in the essay or article that you read? What examples do they use to make their point? List several and discuss each. 3, do you agree or disagree with their perspective on your social issue? And finally, how is your personal opinion similar or different from that of the author? If after completing your close reading you have doubts about whether you'll be able to write a 1,000-word essay in response to the text you selected, go back and choose a different essay and try this assignment again. That's why I recommend taking a look at maybe 2 or 3 essays from the beginning. You don't need to read all 3, but I would have a small pile of things that you think you could work with for this first project. It's not uncommon for people to select a text and then decide that they don't want to write about it. Task 9 is brainstorming. Now that you've taken the time to think deeply about your selected essay, you need to start developing your own ideas for writing Project 1. Open a Word doc and type out your responses to the following prompts. Again, make sure to number them. The first one, take a few minutes and think about how you brainstorm. Not how you're supposed to brainstorm, but how you actually come up with good ideas. What works for you when you're trying to think about things to write about. In a paragraph each, share 3 brainstorming strategies that are unique to you and help you arrive at a good idea for a paper. For example, you might say, when I'm driving home on 670 at the end of the day, crawling through traffic, I usually listen to music and let my mind drift. By the time I am home, I have usually rolled around a half dozen good ideas in my head. Of course, I never write anything down while driving, so I am lucky to remember one of them. And then your second prompt here. Next, using one of these 3 brainstorming strategies, come up with 2 possible directions you could go in for writing Project 1. You should refer to the Writing Project 1 prompt to ensure your idea meets the assignment expectations. Here is where you're going to submit your weekly work. You need to submit all of the writing that you completed for tasks 8 and 9. Those should all be submitted on one document, and make sure that your document is a doc or a docx file. If it is not in one of those file formats, there is a good chance I will not be able to open it, and I will need to ask you to convert it to a different file type. I'd also like you to label your file this way. It's going to be your last name and then the week. So if your last name is Robinson, you're going to label your document Robinson week 1. Task 4, so going a little bit out of order here, you're going to be posting to the discussion board. Your first post is due by 11:59 on Thursday. To get to the discussion board, you can either click the name of this task here, or in our course menu, there is a link to the discussion board as well. In your discussion board post, you're going to post a brief description of yourself and what goals you have for college and life. And you also need to find and post the following information from the course. So in a way, this is a little bit of a scavenger hunt. You'll be locating important information in our Blackboard site and posting it to the discussion board. So you're going to find the course late assignment policy, the writing project process work policy, where to submit final drafts of essays, where to find weekly lectures that explain each week's goals and assignments, and my contact information. So you're going to be posting a brief description of yourself as well as these things. Your second post is due by 11:59 on Saturday. And for this, you need to post a response to 2 of your peers in which you compare and contrast your experience to their experience and verify they have the correct course information. That is all for this week. If you have any questions for me, please let me know. I would be happy to help you out.